Ladies and gentlemen, we just witnessed a classic. The Ravens were able to squeak out a win in a overtime thriller against the Cincinnati Bengals, 41-38. Lamar is 9-1 versus the Bengals, and he's 5-1 versus Burrow. There was a lot to be excited about in this game, but there was also a lot of frustrating things that happened in this game. I know we all had to have at least like 15 to 20 heart attacks in this game. It was crazy. Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman quietly balled out in this game. Zay had 7 catches for 111. Bateman had like 4 or 5 catches for 58 and a touchdown. Isaiah likely had only had 2 catches, but both of them were touchdowns, and one of them touchdowns was one of the most impressive touchdowns I've ever seen in my life. Like Lamar Jackson, after almost fumbling. Well, technically he did fumble. After dropping a snap that fumbled, he's scrambling. Sam Hubbard's chasing him down. He stiff-armed Sam Hubbard twice. The second time stiff-armed him to the ground, which I was very impressed with considering that we all know Lamar lost weight this offseason because he wanted to get faster again. So to see that he still has the type of strength that you would expect for him to have around 230 at 205, that was nice to see. Him making that play was insane. Isaiah likely making that catch was insane as well. It reminded me of the Jaguars game last year where they connected on what should have been a incomplete pass and they just made magic out of nothing. When you look at Sam Hubbard's expression, his facial expression and the look on his face after that touchdown was completed, I'm gonna put the video clip on the screen now. When you look at Sam Hubbard's response to that, I mean, he looked completely defeated in that moment. Like that, they took his soul. Like for any of you who follow David Goggins, he always had that expression of taking souls. Like Lamar and Isaiah likely took Sam Hubbard's soul in that moment. Like it was one of the most impressive touchdowns I've ever seen in my life. Mark Andrews got more active in this game. He had about 50 or 55 yards, especially on some key drives. Lamar and Mark were able to connect and really get that going. So I was excited to see that. Charlie Kolar even got active in this game. He caught a big 50-yard, a 55-yard catch. I wish he would have been able to like make that a house call and get a touchdown, but he wasn't fast enough, and that's to be expected. Like we don't view him as somebody who's like a speedster, so it is what it is. They still ended up getting him a touchdown like 1 or 2 plays later, so that was like nice to see. Derrick Henry, prior to overtime, he was having a pretty bad game. Like he was, they were bottling him up for the most part. He did get a touchdown early in the game, but after that, it was pretty quiet for him, which I expected. Like I said in the preview for this game, I had a feeling they were gonna do their best to sell out to stop the run, and that's what they were doing for most of the game, and it was pretty successful. At least stopping Derrick Henry. Like Lamar was still able to, get free when he needed to, but they bottled Derrick Henry pretty well in this game. Also, Derrick Henry got 10,000 yards. Like this game, he passed the 10,000-yard mark, which obviously is a big accomplishment for him. We all know he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. But yeah, man, offensively we did as well as we could have gone. Justin Tucker, shout out to Justin Tucker. He's still the GOAT. He's not in his prime anymore, as we all know. Like we can't let this game distract us from the fact that he's not in his prime anymore, so we shouldn't want to put him in these spots. But even though he's not in his prime, he's still the GOAT at the end of the day. And so when he was lining up for that 56-yarder, I said, man, against all odds, against all odds, against all odds, I'm putting my money on Justin Tucker. He got that 56-yarder to tie the game up, help us get into overtime. That was very exciting to see. As far as like the fumbles Lamar had, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why Lamar fumbled twice in this game. The first time, it's hard to even see what went wrong. I just think that he just maybe got nervous and just dropped it and just, he just it slipped out. It slipped out of his fingertips. The second time, he just got distracted. I don't understand what he was looking up at for that split second. But either way, he still had like a costly fumble that really should have cost us the game, to be honest with you. But everything still worked out. So I can't be too mad at and also I can't be too mad at Lamar because again he had an excellent game. He threw for 348. He rushed for like another 55 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, no picks. Like and shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals. Like even though there are rivals, they balled out, or at least offensively, they balled out. Joe Burrow played out of his mind for the most part throughout that game. He had 392 and 5 touchdowns. Jamar Chase went off against us again. He had 194 yards and like at least 1 or 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins had 83 and 2 touchdowns. It was just a very exciting game. Thankfully, it worked out for us. Thankfully, the Bengals towards the end of that game, they towards the end of overtime, they tried to play it safe, and instead of them really trying to push the ball down the field, they called a couple of run plays that got stuffed, and they assumed that kicker was gonna ice the game for them, but it didn't work out that way. Just it's just a scenario where we really got lucky at the end towards overtime where the kicker, not the kicker, but the punter who was catching the ball before he got a chance to properly place it for the kick, it just slipped out of his hands, and at that moment, that just pretty much ruined it for them. Derrick Henry, even though he got bottled up in that game, he ended up making the run that counted most of all in that game in overtime. They tossed it back to him. He took off for 51 yards, got us within field goal range, and then Tucker hit the game winning field goal, and that was all she wrote. So yeah, that was the most positive parts I seen about that. Obviously, the negative parts were really just all defensively. Marlon, I mean, firstly, shout out to Marlon Humphrey. Shout out to Marlon Humphrey. He saved us in that game. Like that pick that he caught was really a game saving pick, honestly, because our defense was just simply not making any plays. They couldn't do anything in that game. They were just slicing up, just eating, just slicing us like it was nothing. Brandon Stevens, I felt bad for him in this game because even though he's been playing very well, he was just having a bad day. They was just targeting him nonstop. Like T. Higgins and Jamar, they was getting whatever they wanted for the most part. Roquan Smith looks bad again. Like really, there's at least 2 touchdowns in this game that it looked like just I'm not gonna say completely Roquan's fault, but it looked like it was mostly Roquan's fault where there's that first touchdown to T. Higgins where it looked like Roquan should have dropped back, but he hesitated and T. Higgins ended up just basically walking in for an easy touchdown. And then even on that 70-yarder to Jamar Chase, when Joe Burrow threw a screen pass to Jamar, like Roquan Smith was just too slow to go get Jamar. Like he was right in the right position and he's just too slow. Like he's too young in his career to already lose a step, but he's already lost a step. And this is why I made that video a few weeks ago where I said, "Hey, he's looking very overpaid right now. Him and Marcus Williams, they're looking overpaid right now. All of this money, all of this hype, all of these Ray Lewis comparisons, and you giving up plays like that. That's unacceptable." I'm not gonna go too hard on Matabike because Namdi Matabike, he did get a very clutch sack towards the end of that game. So that was very exciting to see. Shout out to Tavius Robinson. He also got a sack early in the game. It was nice to see him out there and get a little bit of shine. But all in all, man, it was still a very hard fought win, a shootout. But defensively, we got to clean things up. I don't want to go too hard on Zach Orr because of the fact that Mike McDonald had the same issue when he first started as the DC, where we were just really getting lit up by everybody when it came to passing the ball. So hopefully we figure it out and hopefully we really get back on the right track so we don't have to play every single game like this because there was at least there was at least 2 or 3 or 4 moments in this game where it looked like it was over for us, man. But we still ended up squeezing out the win. We didn't get too many penalties or penalty yards in this game, so I was excited to see that. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Were you nervous when you were watching this game? And did you think that we were going to lose, or did you have faith the entire time that we were going to be able to pull this out?